ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I hope you had a great Christmas, a great first night of Hanukkah, maybe both if you're part of an interfaith family. Whatever it was that you were doing yesterday, I hope it was a fun day. Mine certainly was. It's not every day that we can describe a tragedy narrowly averted as a Christmas miracle. But that's exactly what played out yesterday in the heart of New York City. Outside Macy's in Herald Square, especially around Christmas time, one of the busiest places in the world, a yellow taxi jumped the curb just after 4 p.m., striking 6 pedestrians, including a 9-year-old boy and his mother. The chaos unfolded in one of the busiest corners of Manhattan, a hub for last-minute holiday shoppers and tourists marveling at the Christmas displays. The 58-year-old taxi driver may have suffered a medical episode, and police believe this was a tragic accident, not something more sinister. All 6 victims, including the boy and his mother, thankfully, suffered non-life-threatening injuries. But it could have been much worse. The boy's leg was trapped under the still-spinning wheel of the cab, and his mother lay pinned underneath. What happened next was just extraordinary. A group of Good Samaritans sprang into action. One man jumped into the cab to turn off the engine, while others worked together to rip off the fender and lift the car. It was the kind of heroism from strangers that restores your faith in humanity, particularly during the holiday season. This is the very definition of a Christmas miracle. It's remarkable that no lives were lost in an incident that at first looked destined to end in tragedy. At the same time, this crash is a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities we all face in public spaces. While this appears to have been an accident, it's hard not to think about similar scenes caused intentionally. Just last week, a terrorist drove into a crowded Christmas market in Germany, killing 5 and injuring 200. It's a chilling example of how so-called soft targets can become sites of unimaginable violence. As we celebrate the resilience and quick-thinking heroism shown here in New York, it's also a moment to reflect on the importance of vigilance. Law enforcement, city planners, and policymakers must prioritize safety in environments like Herald Square. Barriers, better traffic control, and enhanced public awareness can all help mitigate future risk. Christmas miracles remind us of the best in humanity, but let's not wait for miracles.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. The case of former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is back in the spotlight, and not in the way prosecutors would have hoped. Convicted this past summer on 16 federal corruption charges, Menendez now has a significant opportunity to challenge the verdict, not because of some shocking new evidence or a legal technicality, but due to prosecutorial mistakes that are as baffling as they are unforgivable. Here's what we know. Prosecutors admitted they mistakenly gave jurors access to unredacted evidence that the court had explicitly ruled inadmissible. The evidence related to sensitive material about military aid to Egypt, material that's protected under the Constitution's speech or debate clause, which shields legislative acts from scrutiny in criminal cases. The judge had barred this material from being considered, but thanks to a sloppy mistake, it ended up on juror-accessible computers. Now, Menendez's defense team has pounced on this blunder, requesting a new trial and arguing that the improper evidence exposed the jury to a narrative they were never supposed to hear. Prosecutors claim it's vanishingly unlikely any jurors actually viewed the unredacted material, but let's be honest, in a high-stakes case like this, even the appearance of impropriety can be enough to throw the entire process into question. The stakes here couldn't be higher. Menendez was convicted of charges including bribery, conspiracy, and acting as a foreign agent for Egypt. Accusations that, if upheld, could result in a sentence of up to 222 years in prison. But let's not forget, this is the same Bob Menendez who beat corruption charges in 2017 after a jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict. For a man who's already slipped through the cracks once, this kind of prosecutorial gift is nothing short of a lifeline. Here's my take. This sort of incompetence is inexcusable. The Southern District of New York is supposed to represent the gold standard of federal prosecution, yet these mistakes are more reminiscent of a second-rate operation. Even if the evidence against Menendez was overwhelming, this kind of unforced error undermines public trust in the justice system. It's not just about Menendez. It's about the credibility of the process. And make no mistake, Menendez had a decent shot at overturning this conviction even without these blunders. But now, prosecutors might as well have gift-wrapped their case for appeal. If Menendez walks free, it won't be because of his innocence. It'll be because the prosecution failed to do its job.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Ladies and gentlemen, there has been a trend quietly reshaping the face of New York City for years, and it's accelerating. Chain stores are leaving the five boroughs. According to the Center for an Urban Future, the number of chain stores in our city dropped by 1.3% over the past year. 109 stores gone, bringing the total down to 8,039. 10 chains, including familiar names like TGI Fridays and Oakley, have closed up shop entirely in New York City. Now, let me be clear. I'm not a big fan of chain stores. Personally, I prefer to support small businesses. Chain stores often make it difficult for mom and pop shops to compete, and to me, there's something special about the individuality and charm of a local store that you just don't get from a big chain. But even so, I'm not cheering this trend. Why? Because these closures represent lost jobs, lost livelihoods, and lost convenience for many New Yorkers who rely on these stores. And it's not just about chains. It's a symptom of a larger problem facing brick and mortar retail across the board. Experts say The primary culprit here is the rise of e-commerce. Year after year, online shopping eats away at the market share of physical stores, particularly clothing, cosmetics, and jewelry retailers. The pandemic only accelerated this shift, and we're seeing the consequences play out on our city streets. Manhattan has been the hardest hit, losing 56 chain locations in the past year, a drop of 1.8%. The Bronx fared the best, with only 4 closures, but the trend is citywide. Even some of the city's most iconic shopping districts, like Fifth Avenue, are struggling, prompting Mayor Adams to announce a $152.7 million investment to make the area more pedestrian-friendly in an attempt to revive retail. So where does this leave us? On the one hand, the decline of chain stores could create opportunities for small businesses to fill the void. But on the other, without deliberate action, we could see our neighborhoods lose not just chain stores, but the vitality and character that come with thriving brick-and-mortar retail corridors. This is where I think New York City has an opportunity. We should be using this moment to prioritize small businesses. That means reducing red tape, offering tax incentives, and creating grants to help local entrepreneurs get off the ground. Let's make it easier for New Yorkers to open businesses that add unique value to their communities and harder for them to close. At the end of the day, brick and mortar retail is about more than economics. It's about people. It's about the character of our neighborhoods, and it's about the kind of city we want to live in. For all the convenience of online shopping, there's no replacing the experience of strolling down a lively street, popping into a shop, and interacting with another human being.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by SelectQuote. Life insurance can have a huge impact on our family's future. With SelectQuote, getting covered with the right policy for you is simple and affordable. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents will tailor your experience to find a life insurance policy for your needs in as little as 15 minutes. And SelectQuote partners with carriers that provide policies for many conditions. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Go to selectquote.com/SpotifyPod today to get started.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
If you are a New Yorker who plans to fly domestically or visit federal facilities without carrying your enhanced passport, you need to hear this. The deadline for getting a federally compliant Real ID or Enhanced ID is fast approaching. Starting May 7th, 2025, your standard driver's license or state-issued ID card won't cut it. Without one of these upgraded IDs or a passport, you could find yourself stuck at the airport or worse, unable to access certain secure federal facilities. This mandate stems from the Real ID Act passed way back in 2005, something I'm betting a lot of you may not even remember, but it was designed to set minimum security standards for identification nationwide. While people can debate whether this measure improves security, the bottom line is that compliance is non-negotiable. So it's time to make sure you're ready. Let's break it down. If your ID has a star in the upper right corner, it's a Real ID. If it has a U.S. flag, it's an Enhanced ID. Both work for domestic air travel and federal access, but an Enhanced ID gives you extra perks. It lets you cross land or sea borders into Canada, Mexico, and some Caribbean countries. Getting one isn't as complicated as it might seem, but it does require a little planning. You'll need to visit the DMV in person. For a Real ID, there's no additional fee, but if you want the enhanced version, it'll cost you $30. Make sure you bring the right documents, things like a utility bill, your Social Security card, and proof of your identity, such as a passport or birth certificate. You'll also need to have a new photo taken, so come prepared for that DMV mugshot. To avoid long lines and last-minute headaches, the DMV recommends making a reservation and starting your application online. They even have a YouTube video to guide you through the process. This isn't just about bureaucracy, it's about being prepared. Imagine missing your flight because you forgot to update your ID. Don't let that happen. Whether you think the Real ID Act is a good idea or not, the deadline is looming and it's time to act. So make it your New Year's resolution to get this done and then pat yourself on the back for being ahead of the game. Remember, May 7th, 2025 is closer than you think. My wife and I are possibly going to be traveling to Florence, Italy, right around this time in May of next year. I may talk about this a little bit later this hour for my cousin Andrea's wedding, and I don't think my wife has an enhanced ID. So I'm going to make sure that both of us are well situated in this regard. Hope you do too. To be continued.